Welcome, everybody. Okay.
Don't squeeze in tighter if you don't mind. Thank you. 3 rows is fine.
Don't come on up here. You come on up. Okay, well, y'all, thank you. Welcome again on a beautiful day still here. I'll call on Captain Jason Strong, chaplain, for the prayer, if you please, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. I invite you all to join with me as I pray according to my faith. Gracious God, I humbly beseech you today to be with those as they have been affected by Dorian and those that will be in the path that will be affected. I ask that, God, that you would cause Dorian to bring out the best of what South Carolina has to offer, both in her people and in her leadership. I thank you, Lord, for the leadership of the state. I thank you for those state and local agencies that stand ready to support and help the people of this state. And so I humbly beseech this in the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. John Quirello, National Weather Service. John.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. The risk of life-threatening storm surge and hurricane-force winds continues to increase along the coast of South Carolina. As of the 2 p.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center, Hurricane Dorian was moving very slowly near Grand Bahama Island and has wind speeds of 150 miles per hour, making it a very powerful Category 4 hurricane. Dorian will begin to track northward very near the Florida East Coast tonight into Wednesday, with the forecast continuing to indicate passage just off the South Carolina coast late Wednesday night and Thursday as a dangerous Category 2 hurricane. Even with the forecast track offshore, Dorian will be expanding with impacts extending well away from the center, which will result in the potential for significant impacts to parts of South Carolina on Wednesday and Thursday. Any change to the track farther west, which is certainly possible, would bring with it greater impacts. The most significant impacts from Dorian will occur along the coast, where the risk of life-threatening storm surge and hurricane-force winds continues to increase. Rainfall amounts of 6 to 10 inches or more could result in flash flooding across many coastal areas. Farther inland across parts of the Midlands, breezy to windy conditions will occur with a storm, along with some rain showers, although the heaviest rainfall should generally remain east of the I-95 corridor. Unless there's any significant changes to the track, of course. At this point, it's important to not discount the threat Dorian poses to South Carolina and to follow the recommendations of any local emergency managers. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Well, Hurricane Dorian, as we know, as John Quirello just told us, is Category 4 hurricane, so it has decreased some. As you remember, it's 185 miles an hour before Category 5, but the sustained winds are still over 155 miles an hour. The latest forecast still has South Carolina in the path of a very destructive and deadly storm. And I remind everyone, and we say again, all of us, if you are in one of the evacuation zones in the counties along the coast, the 8 of them, then the time to leave is now, if you're still here, to be safe. We know that we can't make everyone happy with these actions and these orders. We know some people may be inconvenienced, but this is the best way to keep South Carolinians alive. It means getting out of the way of this dangerous storm. Today's lane reversal on I-26 has gone very smoothly so far. In fact, the South Carolina Department of Transportation and Department of Public Safety were able to open the eastbound lanes in Charleston to westbound traffic an hour and a half earlier than anticipated. We were going to do it at noon, but ended up doing it at 10:36 this morning. That is the traffic coming from Charleston up towards Columbia. Why did that happen? Started at about 6 o'clock this morning. The Department of Transportation began noticing a dramatic increase in the volume of traffic that was heading westbound, that is towards Columbia on I-26, and is over double the number of vehicles on the normal day. This confirmed what we had anticipated, that is Labor Day weekend tourists and coastal residents evacuating the coast at the same time. That is, that would have created gridlock and brought westbound traffic to a standstill, possibly for hours. So, by doing the lane reversal in Charleston, coming up I-26 towards Columbia this morning, an hour and a half early, has traffic moving smoothly and safely from the Charleston area towards Columbia. And this here, as you see this picture, these are the lanes coming towards Columbia. This is normally the lane going to Charleston. Of course, it's open coming this way, and you see the traffic on it. There's a lot of traffic. This is right at, exit 149, South Carolina Highway 33. This is just outside of Orangeburg, but you can see the traffic on there. As for Highway 278 in Beaufort, which is the road leaving Hilton Head, similar increases in the traffic leaving Hilton Head were noticed this morning. State and local agencies are now working together on the reversal there and are adjusting their arrangements as traffic dictates. For right now, it's running smoothly on 278 leaving Hilton Head. Secretary Hall and Director Smith will provide additional details, specific details about that traffic. As for school and government closings, as you all know, the schools and state government offices in the following counties are closed tomorrow, Tuesday, September the 3rd. Those are in Jasper County, the 8 counties, the coastal counties, Jasper County, Beaufort County, Colleton County, Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester, Georgetown, and Horry. Those are the only counties in which we have ordered the schools and state offices to be closed. As of now, those are the only counties that we will order to be closed tomorrow. Later days, we'll make those decisions later. But for schools and state government offices in the remaining 38 counties, other than those 8, they are not under an evacuation order. I repeat, in every county that is not under the evacuation order, there will be no executive order issued closing schools and government offices for Tuesday, September the 3rd. Why? Because at this time, we don't need the shelters that would require the schools to be closed, because that's where the people are sheltered. Everyone is getting out and they're driving through Columbia. Many are going on up to Greenville and Spartanburg, and it appears that we will not need those schools for shelters. So everything is running smoothly. As soon as we have information, we will give it to you. And I say again, this process, many of you know the people that work on this that you see in the room today. This is a highly experienced team, but you never can tell where a hurricane is going to go. There are people all over the world trying to predict this hurricane. What we do is we assimilate, we study that information, we act accordingly, and our team has had great success in keeping the people of South Carolina safe and alive, and we're delighted to be able to perform that function. So, at this time, I'd ask Major General Van McCarty, the Adjutant General, to come forward.
Thank you, Governor. The South Carolina National Guard has approximately 1,000 soldiers and airmen that are currently deployed to support the evacuation. Most of those are assigned now to work with the Department of Public Safety and the Department of Transportation in executing the evacuation that the Governor has described. We also have military police that are working with the State Law Enforcement Division to help provide security in the affected area that is being evacuated. We're also working with our partner states, with the states that we normally have an exchange of resources with through an emergency compact. We're working with them to determine what their needs may be, what ours may be, and based on the storm, we may have resources that go to help other states. We may in turn have resources to come in to help South Carolina. We're also working with our federal partner to monitor the Title 10, the active duty assets that are being positioned in the region to support the states that are being affected by Hurricane Dorian, and we're working with those to determine those needs. We're also looking to see and monitor what may be the next phase of the operation for the Guard, and we're assessing that and have those units on standby to be called up as necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Christy Hall, Secretary of the Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Governor. The DOT's main focus today is basically traffic management and continuing to prepare for the storm arrival. As the governor already mentioned, we predicted yesterday that we would see increased traffic on our evacuation routes, particularly I-26. And as we expected, that did come to pass early this morning as we predicted. We're seeing volumes roughly double what we traditionally see on I-26 as early as 9 a.m. this morning, leaving the Charleston region heading up towards Columbia. And due to that increased traffic flow, we consulted with our partners with DPS and other local law enforcement to accelerate the implementation of the reversal in order to meet that increased traffic demand that the system was experiencing. As the governor mentioned, the first cars were able to get on the reverse side of the highway nearly an hour and a half early at approximately 10:30 a.m. with those first cars arriving here in Columbia on the reverse lanes at approximately noon, having traveled that 96-mile corridor on the reverse side at good travel times and good speeds. We continue to monitor the I-95 and other areas of the evacuation zones across the state. I-95 northbound traffic is actually a little bit lower than normal. However, our southbound traffic is approximately 10% higher than traditional volumes. With regards to the Beaufort area, as the governor mentioned, we are seeing higher than normal, the Hilton Head area, we are seeing higher than normal traffic volumes in that area. However, with the reversal is in place and functioning very well. We were traditionally seeing about 40% higher than normal volumes on US 278 leaving that area. So with the reversal, we're able to provide 3 outbound lanes from the Cross Island Parkway to Moss Creek Road, a distance of approximately 3 miles, to get the traffic to the Bluffton Parkway so that traffic can separate and go 2 different directions at that point in time. Just like we did with I-26, we were monitoring the hourly traffic volumes on 278, and we also recognized early that we were experiencing some congestion at the Cross Island Parkway. So we went ahead at 9 a.m. this morning and went ahead and lifted those tolls effective at 9 a.m. and opened all 5 lanes at the Cross Island Parkway to outbound traffic to clear any congestion that we were experiencing there. In the Myrtle Beach area, we continue to see higher than normal traffic patterns as we would anticipate with a storm like this or with an evacuation on top of a Labor Day holiday, and we continue to work with local law enforcement and DPS on developing whatever tools in the toolbox we needed to deploy to keep traffic moving there. I want to speak just a few minutes about I-26 and the reversal to provide a little bit of clarity to folks that are interested in evacuating on I-26. If you're in Charleston, Mount Pleasant, West Ashley, North Charleston, or Summerville, you can get on the reverse side of I-26 at the I-526 interchange. That's where we want you to load. If you are not able to get there and want to ride the traditional westbound lanes, there are 4 options for you. You can get on I-26 westbound at US 78, which is the 205 exit, 17A, which is 199 exit, Jedburgh Road, which is exit 194, and the SC27 exit, which is a little bit higher in Ridgeville at mile marker 187. So you have really 5 ways to get on the I-26 to head westbound out of the area towards Columbia. If you are on the reverse side, if you're on the reverse side of I-26 heading towards Columbia, you have 8 opportunities to exit before you get to Columbia. There's 8 interchanges that are open and available for you to use. So you can get off and get gas, go to your final destination, or get refreshments. Those exits are in Ridgeville, Bowman, Orangeburg, and Sandy Run. Those are the exits that would be available to you prior to getting to the I-77 area here in Columbia. So ample opportunity to get on the reversal and the evacuation route, and if you're on the reverse side, ample opportunities to get off and do whatever business or your final destination is. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, ma'am. Director Leroy Smith, Department of Public Safety.
Thank you, Governor. Our total law enforcement and National Guard staffing for Emergency Support Function 16 remains at 2,785. As the Governor mentioned earlier, I-26 and US 278 lane reversal operations are underway and flowing very well. Also, we'd just like to remind the motoring public of some safety tips in terms of evacuations. Know your designated evacuation route. You can go to scemd.org or scdot.org for further information on that. Be patient. Some evacuation routes may be at maximum capacity, and it could take you longer to get to your respective destinations. And third, be prepared. Ensure that your vehicle is properly serviced with a full tank of gas. Have an emergency kit that includes snacks, foods, water, care items for kids, medication, toiletries, extra cash, flashlight, and a cell phone. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you very much. Next, Mark Keel, Chief of SLED.
Good afternoon. In coordination with local law enforcement, we currently have 370 other state law enforcement officers from SLED, DNR, Triple P, SCDC, and then, as the General stated earlier, we'll have 50 MPs from the National Guard that will be joining this effort to support local law enforcement tomorrow. State law enforcement will begin providing assistance and has already began providing assistance to local law enforcement agencies. We have started receiving requests, additional requests, to help them as this evacuation process takes place, and we will be moving these law enforcement officers into those areas that have been evacuated. We have SLED's aviation assets are also available to assist both with traffic management during the evacuation and also to assist in any law enforcement issue that may arise in the affected counties. Lastly, I want to say this. Each time this happens, people evacuate these areas for their personal safety. I want to remind everyone that if there are individuals out there that choose to take advantage of this situation and try to break into people's homes and steal from those who have left their homes for personal safety, you will be arrested and you will go to jail. Let me repeat that. You will be arrested and you will go to jail. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Rick Timmy, Director of Department of Health and Environmental Control.
Thank you, Governor.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday, the Governor issued a mandatory medical evacuation order for the healthcare facilities regulated by DHEC in the evacuation zones. DHEC is currently in communications with 175 healthcare facilities impacted by this order. This total number includes 13 hospitals, 25 nursing homes, and 92 assisted living facilities. The 4 hospitals that have begun closing are Hilton Head Hospital, Encompass Health Rehab Hospital of Bluffton, Palmetto Low Country Behavioral Health, and Vibra Hospital of Charleston. The 9 hospitals that have been granted exemption waivers allowing them to shelter in place, these hospitals are still expected to reduce their census to discharge patients that can be safely sent home and cancel elected procedures. The 9 hospitals that have been granted the waiver are, in alphabetical order, Beaufort Memorial Hospital, Bon Secours St. Francis Xavier Hospital, Coastal Carolina Hospital, East Cooper Medical Center, Encompass Health Rehab Hospital of Charleston, MUSC Medical Center, Mount Pleasant Hospital, Roper St. Francis, Roper Hospital, and Trident Medical Center. Our call center, the Caroline 1-855-4SC DHEC, opened at 8 a.m. this morning to answer questions from our patients and women and infant and children's clients. Governor, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Michael Leach, Director of Department of Social Services.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Governor. The South Carolina Department of Social Services is designated as the lead state agency for coordinating mass care operations. Working alongside our partners in the American Red Cross, Salvation Army, Department of Health and Environmental Control, other state agencies, and volunteer relief organizations. This includes providing staff to support shelter operations across the state, as well as coordinating the supply of food and bulk distribution of emergency relief supplies. In accordance with Governor McMaster's order of evacuation, South Carolina currently has 13 shelters open across the state to meet the needs of evacuees. This includes 13 general population shelters, of which 12 are utilizing schools. We have 0 special medical needs shelters currently open. As of 1:20 p.m., we have a total population of 15 individuals in our shelters. The number includes, of the 15 individuals, those are in general population, and 0 current medical needs clients. We have 10 general population shelters on standby and 21 medical needs shelters on standby. Our current total capacity is 9,385, and we are at 0% of that capacity. So we still have 100% of total capacity available, and at this time, 0 shelters are full. At this time, we don't see the need for capacity for shelters in the Midlands area, but as the governor said, we will reevaluate that as time goes on.
Thank you, Ms. Leach. Emily Farr, Director of Labor Licensing and Regulation.
Thank you, Governor.
Yes, ma'am.
State Fire, the division of the Department of Labor, Licensing and Regulation, has been working around the clock with firefighters across our state to make sure that we have all search and rescue assets and resources that we'll need to respond to this storm. The Palmetto Incident Support Team, that's our in-state team, has been working since Wednesday to strategically plan for what resources those might be and what we'll need given different scenarios of the way this storm has been tracking. We continue to prepare for that most likely worst case scenario for those search and rescue needs. We've recently just brought in members from Louisiana's incident support team. They are here and integrated with our team to help with that strategic planning. Already we have here or coming to Columbia by tomorrow morning 20 swiftwater boat teams and 3 Type 4 USAR teams to help with search and rescue. And I want to thank all of our fire departments and firefighters across the state that have stepped up to help fulfill these resources and be ready, standing ready to be deployed wherever we may need them once the storm hits. Meanwhile, we're also continue to coordinate with FEMA in case there are additional resource needs that we may need to deploy. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Stinson, Director of this office, Emergency Management.
Thank you, Governor. Here at the State Emergency Operations Center, our current priorities haven't shifted too much, but it's still evacuation and sheltering operations right now, but we're also looking towards planning for the initial response after we start to see the storm effects, the damage assessment, eventually re-entry, and then recovery. We currently have 16 county emergency operations centers that are operational. We have 8 at OPCON 2, Operating Condition 2, which is an enhanced readiness, and then we have an additional 8 at OPCON 1, Operating Condition 1, which is maximum readiness, similar to what we are right here. Their primary focus is also evacuation and sheltering operations right now. We're starting to get some requests in from the counties, but we haven't had really very many, but they've been ranging from sandbags to transportation. We expect that to ramp up here over the next few days. And we still have our personnel from South Carolina Emergency Management Division deployed to the counties as liaisons to maintain situational awareness and assist them in any way that we can down at the local level. Logistics, our Winsboro warehouse is fully stocked and is ready to transport food and water as required. All our logistics contracts have been activated, ranging from commodities to general logistical support to transportation. We've got 75 buses that have been staged in Orangeburg in the event that the local authorities need any assistance with the evacuation. And then we've already mentioned some of the out-of-state coordination under the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. We've got the Tennessee team coming in today to help us with any requests that we have, and we've got 2 right now that are somewhat active. Director Farr already mentioned the advanced incident support team that's working with her team. And then we're also in the process of requesting some additional air support. FEMA, we had the federal emergency declaration that the governor requested was approved late last night, and that'll allow us to FEMA resources, directs federal assistance, ranging from incident management teams to transportation. In the public assistance area, again, the key message there is for all our citizens to be their own emergency manager and have a plan and know if you're in an evacuation zone and what your plan is to do when you evacuate. We've got our website at scemd.org. We've got the 2019 Hurricane Guide, and we've also got our South Carolina Mobile Emergency Manager app that'll help you with all that. In particular, on the website and on the mobile app is a section called Know Your Zone, and it allows you to type in your address, and then it'll tell you if you're in an evacuation zone, and then it will tell you what evacuation zone you're in. And also, lastly, our state hotline was activated this morning, also known as the Public Information Phone System, and that's available if you need any evacuation or sheltering information. And the number is 1-866-246-0133, and it's up on the screen, and Spanish interpreters are available. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Folks on the coast have been making remarks about whether this might be too early or not. What response would you have?
Well, the people have been trying to predict hurricanes for years, and we're at the peak of scientific expertise and technology now, and we still cannot predict where a hurricane is going to go. As you know, you see, if you've seen they call it the spaghetti chart, where different organizations around the world predict hurricanes, and it looks like a plate of spaghetti because you have people with the talent and all the equipment in the world, including satellites in the air and thermostats in the water, and they still cannot predict them. But we're hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. The best thing in the world would be for that hurricane to take a sharp right and go out to the ocean, and we would all celebrate. Of course, it could take a sharp left and come inshore, in which case we would go into overdrive and continue doing what we're doing. But we'd rather be safe than sorry, and we know that any time we issue orders or take these measures, it is to protect the lives of the people of and in South Carolina, and we do whatever it takes to do that. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. As far as our fuel for the state, do you have any information as how do we stand?
Yes, ma'am. We're in good shape. Right?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Yes, we have
Nanette
sufficient.
Edwards.
We have sufficient gasoline supplies for evacuation. The last stats that I have, we were showing through Gas Buddy, roughly 96% for the state. If you looked at just the coastal areas of Myrtle Beach, Charleston, and Savannah/Hilton Head, it was around 93%.
Do you make arrangements with the gasoline companies to bring in extra fuel for something like this?
We stay in constant coordination with we call them our fuel partners, and whether it's Speedway, Circle K, we have a list. Statewide, there's over 2,000 plus gas stations in the state of South Carolina.
Questions?
Director Smith, you guys tweeted out a video of some cars crossing the lane, the median. Can you speak to that? Are you guys trying to combat that? And what's your message to people that are attempting to do that?
First and foremost, please just stay within your respective lane of travel. Crossing the median could be very catastrophic because there's cars traveling in the same direction. So we would caution folks not to do that. We will work with our partners over at the Department of Transportation to put out messages in that regard too.
Secretary Hall, I know with Hurricane Florence, you guys, Department of Transportation, deployed some kind of new devices to help mitigate some of the flooding on those major roads. Are you guys doing anything like that for this storm?
If required, absolutely. Part of what we're also doing, besides dealing with managing traffic, is sort of that look ahead, trying to anticipate what our needs are 3+ days out. And so we are currently doing an analysis on our critical infrastructure, where there may be storm surge or flooding or low-lying areas, and what mitigation measures we may take. Still a little early on that. As the governor mentioned, with the unpredictable nature of the storm, We still need to get a little bit refined data coming in, and then we'll take the appropriate action at the right time. But those tools are still in the toolbox, absolutely.
Questions?
What's your best guess now on where the hurricane might come ashore in South Carolina?
Where's John? John Quirello.
Yeah, at this point, we're not expecting landfall in South Carolina on the current forecast track. However, it wouldn't take much of a shift to the left to bring it very close or onshore in South Carolina. So right now, there is no prediction for a landfall here in the state. But again, the current forecast only shows it passing about 50 miles offshore. So that's not very far at all. And just a slight change in that forecast track could dramatically increase the impacts that we see here along the coast.
What landfall means is the eye of the hurricane
Actually moving in, right.
touch the coast. Right now, it's out in the ocean, as you can see from that prediction so far. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Governor, what's your message to people staying on the coast and not evacuating, thinking the models are showing it staying in the ocean?
Oh, not smart. It's better to be safe than sorry. And we don't want to be telling anybody we told you so. So we would say be safe, get away from the coast. The predictions are we're going to have wind, water. That hurricane can go one way or the other. Nobody knows. So be safe.
And just to be certain, and to circle back to an earlier question, you have no doubts that you have started the evacuations and the lane reversals at the appropriate time. You don't think
That's
you
correct.
jumped the gun?
No, sir. Not too early, not too late. We did it just right. We've followed the procedures and made the judgments we've made in countless hurricanes, five incidents in the last 5 years. And we've had 5 of these in a row. And this is what our experience tells us to do. And most of the people that you see here that are representing the various agencies have been through all of this. So this is our best judgment. And again, we do not want to gamble with a single life in South Carolina. We do not gamble with lives. Yes, sir.
What other lessons have you learned from previous storms? We've had quite a few in the last few years. What other things are you taking from that experience to now?
Well, one thing, it's wonderful to have a federal administration that we can call on. It's wonderful to have other governors, other administrations, other offices we can call on. It's wonderful to have the kind of talent that's available, scientific, technical talent, and also it is terrific to work with Team South Carolina, the representatives of which many that you see here. The county people are not here, but there's a lot of experience, a lot of talent involved in this. And we have learned that the best thing always in everything is to communicate, collaborate, and cooperate. And it works every time it's used.
Governor, for those that decide to stay, what's the status of the pharmacies in the evacuation areas? Are they going to stay open?
It has the answer to that.
We can get you an answer to that later.
Okay.
Do you have an answer now?
I'm pretty sure that many of them are going to be closed because of the evacuation order. So if they choose not to close, then they violated the evacuation order, so they may not be open.
Governor McMaster.
Yes, sir.
Over the last few years, the lane reversals have been a pretty big trend. Before that, for years before that, hadn't really been a big focus, hadn't had to do it that much. Has there been a sense that this has gotten, I don't want to say easier, but more routine over the last 3-4 years?
Well, we certainly know how to do it because we've done it a number of times. And we know that it works. And this today is an excellent demonstration of how well it works. When it was sensed that the traffic was increasing, almost double at 6 o'clock this morning, that we were able to open those lanes from Charleston coming towards Columbia and on up an hour and a half earlier than planned. And as you saw, the first cars were getting to Columbia about the time we had originally planned to open those lanes in Charleston. So it worked smooth as silk. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Governor. Also, regarding this lane reversal operation, this is something that we do with our state partners basically year-round. As we said before, we plan together, we train together, we conduct exercises together, and as you see today, we executed the plan together. So it's something that we are very cognizant of. It's something that we work with our state partners basically year-round to make sure that we get it right. Thank you.
Secretary Hall, do you have an estimate of how many cars, how many vehicles are on the I-26 right now headed for Columbia? Or how many per hour? What sort of number can you put on the traffic flow?
Well, we're still a little early in the reversal, but from looking at the video, it's obvious that it's very well used currently. The last data that I looked at, which was the first 2 hours of the reversal, we were seeing approximately 5,000 vehicles utilizing both sides of the I-26 heading up. So that would equate to, per hour, so that would equate to approximately about 10 to 11,000 people utilizing the westbound heading up towards Columbia. So it's obviously from the video, it's very well used. It was definitely needed. There is no doubt in my mind whatsoever that if we had not implemented this reversal, that we would have gridlock on I-26. So Director Smith and the team and the locals deserve a lot of credit for being able to quickly react when we noticed the trends and how they were going, to accelerate that implementation and keep things moving. So congratulations to the team.
Go ahead, sorry. Governor, I was wondering if there are any comparisons that are being drawn between this hurricane and Matthew a couple years ago, and sort of what lessons are being
Well,
learned.
every hurricane, of course, is different, and we've experienced floods, we've experienced winds going all the way back to Hugo. We really experienced some winds then. Some of us go back way beyond that, but everyone is different. But the main lesson we always learn is to be prepared. And not only do the government agencies at every region, every level need to be prepared, but the citizens as well. We live on the Atlantic coast. We are going to have hurricanes. We've got to be ready for them.
Going
Yes.
back to 2015, obviously all eyes are on the coast right now with this storm. Is anything or has things been done here in the Midlands to kind of mitigate what we might see with potential flooding going back to what we saw with Hurricane Joaquin?
Well, we don't anticipate that kind of flooding in 2015 that we had then. That's not anticipated. Any more? Thank you very much.